This video is about the Berlin Blockade and the Berlin Airlift. On the 24th of June 1948, the Soviet Union blockaded Berlin, and the Western Allies, the United States, United Kingdom and France, responded with an unprecedented airlift operation. They supplied the free part of the city until the blockade was lifted on the 12th of May 1949. Important to mention is Lucius D. Clay, the US military governor, as well as General William H. Tunner, the commanding officer of the Berlin Airlift operation. To the background, Germany lost the Second World War and was then divided into 4 occupational zones. The same applied to Berlin, but furthermore, Berlin was an enclave in the Soviet occupational zone. The Soviet Union at the time started to establish satellite states in Eastern Europe. Later they should become known as Eastern Bloc. So here we see the early stages of the Cold War, growing tensions between the West, United States, UK and France, and the East, the Soviet Union. And in the West there was attempts to create a West German state, of course, firmly integrated in the West. And these plans became very apparent during the London Six Power Conference. So US, UK, France, plus the Netherlands, Belgium and Luxembourg, they decided there should be a German state, a democratic and federal West German state, integrated in the West. Then, on the 21st of June 1948, the Deutschmark was introduced, a strong currency. 2 days later, it was announced that the Deutschmark will come to West Berlin, and that was a massive threat for the significantly weaker economy in East Germany. So the Soviets simply said, all right, then we close all connections to Berlin, so all waterways and all land connections. That was on the 24th of June 1948. 2 days later, the American, the US Air Force started their operations and the first relief flights to Tempelhof. Again 2 days later, the Royal Air Force started their flights, and the French started to construct a runway for Tegel Airport. And at the time, that was the longest runway in Europe. From November onwards, the Armée de l'Air, so the French Air Force, could supply Berlin as well. Now it became clear, the UK, France and the US will not give up West Berlin. So there must be another solution. And there was then an agreement between the United States and the Soviet Union to end the blockade. And that happened on the 12th of May, the very day the first British relief convoy rolled to Berlin. But the flights carried on until the end of September 1949, because it was quite a shock that the Soviets blockaded Berlin, and not only the population of Berlin, also the Western Allies were afraid that this could happen again, so there was a contingency reserve built up. That was definitely the first peak of the Cold War. In Germany, the anti-communist attitude was hardened, so the West Germans were already not very friendly or very happy with communism, but at this point it was clear communism is our enemy. And also at the same time, of course, then it was a turning point between the relations between Germans and the Western Allies. Because they were not so much seen as allies to the point, they were rather seen as occupiers. But now it was clear, all right, France, the UK and the US are our allies, they're our protecting powers. And the Berlin Blockade and the Berlin Airlift were influential on, of course, the foundation of the Federal Republic of Germany, the West German state, which was founded on the 24th of May 1949. Furthermore, there was an influence on the foundation of NATO and the German rearmament and Germany's NATO membership starting in 1955. That was the Berlin Blockade and the Berlin Airlift in 5.